Nueva York alberga a 3.200.000 inmigrantes. Casi 4 de cada 10 neoyorquinos son extranjeros. La mayoría de los inmigrantes proviene de la República Dominicana. El número de neoyorquinos que vive por debajo del nivel de pobreza suma los 2 millones en la Gran Manzana. De ellos, el 26% son latinos.
I was born in New York City in 1967. My parents came to New York City in 1965 due to political unrest and extreme poverty in the Dominican Republic. Back in those days, times were really hard. There weren't as many Latinos as there are now. They didn't know the language. They left everything and everyone they loved behind in search for a better life. They were always working, whether it was 7 days a week, 1, 2 jobs. We come to this country for a better shot at life, and you think we will be a better place for you to have access and opportunities. If you're working in a lot of the service industries, you're making minimum wage. $15, $16 an hour is not enough for you to live in New York City and to raise a family. And so we do know that this is something that is impacting our Latino community. So when my parents came here, they moved to Upper Manhattan because of the neighborhood, because of the identity, because they knew that there would be other Dominicans that they could rely on. And if you walk around the neighborhood, you will see, street vendors. You will see, people who are selling fruits and vegetables. This is a way for them to make a living, but there's not a lot of opportunities for them to go into jobs that pay a living wage.
Tengo 17 años vendiendo en la calle. Vine de 19 años de edad. Vine completamente sola.
Street vendors are such a part of New York City, like unquestionable, right? For many, it's like the first step that they take. You're able to, especially for single women or single mothers, you're able to create your own schedules. You're also the owner of your own business. So for many, this is their first step into their entrepreneurship dreams.
En nuestros países no hay muchas oportunidades de trabajo, no hay oportunidades para salir adelante y siempre pensamos que en Nueva York hay dinero. No se gana tan bien, pero se gana para vivir. Limpios de 200 a 150 al día. Tampoco para hacernos millonarios, pero sí para pagar las cosas de nuestros hijos. La renta está muy cara.
Street vending is founded by immigrants to New York who were vending as the first choice of employment. I buy my produce from a street vendor because I know it's fresh, I know it's good, it's more affordable. Street vendors are out at the hours that their customers are as well. If you're a construction worker and you're starting your day at 4 a.m., who's open then?
Mi día empieza primero yendo a traer los mangos a una marqueta grande y venir en el tren cargando lo que tengo que vender. Y eso empieza desde las 7 de la mañana y terminamos hasta las 8 de la noche. No puede trabajar solo mi esposo porque no nos alcanzaría. Entonces la manera de poderlo ayudar ahora es trabajando yo.
So we have about 3,000 street vendors within our membership, and 60% are Spanish speaking. So there's only about 5,000 permits for food vendors total versus the 20,000 who are operating. Right? And so there's a huge gap where there's thousands of people who are working, who are trying to make a living, make an honest dollar, and survive in New York City, and are not able to access the permits and licenses that they need. Immigration playing such a large role in our family's history, and having my dad, who was a U.S. citizen, and my mom, who moved to the U.S. when she was 17 from Colombia, I was able to see how different the United States is based on where you're born. The second generation of people who had to witness the injustices that our families had to go through, we want to see something different. We want to see something better.
When you come to New York City as an immigrant, and I can tell you from my parents' experience, they came here and they came to work. My dad worked at Tad's restaurant his entire life. He had graduated high school. My mom did not. My mom was the youngest of 16 kids and had dropped out of school when she was 8 years old because she had to work. We didn't have a lot of money. You know, the money that my parents had, they focused on paying the rent, so we never saw an eviction notice. So there were times where there wasn't enough money for us to have a full meal. But I also know what it was like to feel secure in my home and to know that the tuition was going to be paid. For my mom particularly, the priority was an education because she said that is the only way that you're going to have access to opportunities and you're going to be able to lift yourself out of poverty. I studied social work. I know I'm very lucky because not everyone knows what they want to do at the age of 15, but I knew that I wanted to help people, and social work was the perfect profession for me to be able to do that. My job and my responsibility is to do the same thing that my parents did for me, which is to open doors for those that are coming. In order to break down these barriers and systems is going to take a collective. So businesses are part of the community ecosystem, and they play a huge role when it comes to supporting immigrants.
I'm as American as can be, yes, 100%. 100% Chicano, I guess. I was born in LA. My parents were born in Zamora, Michoacan. Since I was a little kid, we would go over to Sunday dinners at my grandma's house, and she would always be cooking chilies, roasting over the fire, and so pungent you couldn't walk into the kitchen, right? But I would go in there and I would work with my grandma cooking Sunday dinners. All my jobs had been in restaurants or fast food. And when I first came to New York City as a teenager, 18 years old, and felt the energy of New York City, I was like, I'm going to New York. That's where I want to be. I've been working in New York City restaurants for well over 20 years now. Nobody talks about the problem in the hospitality business in New York City because it's really built on the back of immigrant labor. So we were a very simple business called the Migrant Kitchen. And what we did is we tried to showcase the cuisines of people that we work with in the kitchen, right? So it wasn't just the food I create or the food anybody else creates. It's, hey, Alex, you're from El Salvador. Let's go ahead and let's come up with a menu from El Salvador and let's go ahead and sell that, you know?
We are of that second generation that is wanting to make things better. And so my background is in urban social policy. I received my master's from Columbia University, studying both small businesses and immigration in addressing inequality. Me being born in the United States has given me such an access to privileges that I want to be able to use, helping others to see their own power, to know that they have rights, and to advocate for them as well, because it should be equal across the board.
Me uní ahí con los vendedores donde estamos para poder saber mis derechos y saber cómo organizar mi negocio. Es lo que significa la unión.
Maria Angelica, she is a part of the leadership board of the Street Vendor Project. She's someone who's been advocating for reforms for a very long time because there's been such intense opposition from real estate boards, from business improvement districts who don't see street vendors for the important role that they do play in our city.
El gobierno quiere que yo le pague los taxes de mi negocio, pero no me quiere dar un permiso para trabajar legalmente. No me quiere dar ese permiso porque dice que voy a ponerme donde quiera, voy a llenar las calles de todos muchos vendedores, pero realmente no soy una criminal. Soy una vendedora, soy una trabajadora que trabajo.
Community-based organizations are the lifeline for Latino communities. It is the place where Latinos can come and get access to resources to be connected to some of the things that they need, whether it is health insurance or they're about to be evicted from their house or English classes. The vast majority of community members who come here to receive assistance through our food pantry are Latino.
Yo soy de El Salvador. Lo que yo quería era encontrar un trabajo en los restaurantes. El problema es que se me acabó el dinero. Todos los días comía una porción de pizza para el almuerzo y una soda que vale $1.99, pero ya como para La segunda semana de eso ya no tenía dinero para comprar eso.
I met Alex in 2014. He was very green, had just arrived, didn't really have much of a skill set working in a restaurant, but he wanted to work, he wanted to learn.
A Dan Dorado lo conocí en Ilili, donde yo aprendí realmente a cocinar. Eso está en la Quinta Avenida.
You can find food in many places in New York City, in many corners. Can you afford it is a different story, right? Can you afford it for yourself and your family and your kids who need it because they're going to school?
Tuve mi primer hijo, entonces cuando iba en primer grado me dijo la maestra, tu hijo no va a llegar a la universidad, no va a ser productivo, tienes que meterle una clase especial. Y yo me negaba a eso, decía no. Y decidí buscar toda la ayuda necesaria para mi hijo. Pero para buscar toda la ayuda tenía que trabajar medio tiempo vendiendo. Y así fue como la manera que encontré para vender. Vendía en las mañanas y cuando salía de la escuela mi hijo tenía que llevarlo a terapia. Tengo una licencia, pero esa licencia solo me sirve para que me pongan tickets y para pagar los taxes de la ciudad. Sí pedí la licencia completa, la fui y la pedí que si me lo podían dar, pero ellos me dijeron que no lo están dando, que es una lotería, un sorteo y un día si me tocaba a mí me iban a mandar una carta, pero pues ya llevo 17 años y no me ha llegado el sorteo todavía.
Cientos de vendedores ambulantes, en su mayoría mujeres hispanas, salieron hoy a las calles de Nueva York para, con una sola voz, hacer un reclamo, que les otorguen más licencias para poder trabajar y que les pongan menos multas.
Muchas multas me han puesto, como pagado más de $10,000.
Son 14,000 que están en lista de espera.
Aún sin licencia, los vendedores ambulantes continúan trabajando en las calles de Nueva York y significan a la municipalidad un pago de $71 millones anuales en impuestos.
El gobierno no nos ve como pequeños negociantes. Somos pequeños negociantes que queremos salir adelante con nuestra familia. Y detrás mío están mis hijos. Tengo una familia, tengo un hogar.
And that's where the Street Vendor Project advocates so heavily, is to make sure it's aware, that people are aware of what's happening, and also advocate for change so they can continue to work without looking over your shoulder constantly to see if NYPD or Department of Sanitation or the Parks Department is going to come and give you a $1,000 ticket and ruin your livelihood.
It has to be about the collective work, about the collective vision of how we support communities and how we push those that have resources to invest in our communities, because this is what we do. We are part of the fiber, and we're just one of the many stakeholders who support communities.
The Migrant Kitchen is a social impact food enterprise. So if somebody comes into our retail store here and they buy a meal, a portion of the proceeds gets donated for us to produce meals to a food insecure community in New York City, free of charge. We want to offer restaurant quality meals. So we were a corporate office lunch caterer pre-pandemic. And then COVID happened and everything went dark, right? So we started donating meals to the hospitals. People started donating money to us so we could provide more meals to the hospitals. And then at that point, people started approaching us about meals to certain communities because they had no access to food. We started cooking thousands and thousands and thousands of meals a week. I would say nearly 99.9999% of those meals were made by immigrants to this country.
Nosotros no salíamos de la casa, teníamos miedo por la pandemia, pero él no había parado de trabajar. Él me invitó al lugar donde él había empezado para hacer donaciones de comida. Y entonces me dijo, ven, a visitarme, y yo fui. Y después me dijo que ese día de casualidad no llegó un cocinero. Y me dijo, quédate a ayudarnos. Y eso fue hace 4 años y todavía estoy.
He really dedicated himself and it's come a long way. I mean, I can't tell you how excited and proud I am of Alex. Alex currently oversees our 3 Migrant Kitchen locations. He is the manager for all of the Migrant Kitchen retail brand.
Me atrajo muchísimo que se iba a ayudar a las personas que no tenían que comer. Hasta ahora hemos donado alrededor de 5 millones de platos de comida.
After the pandemic, I couldn't see myself going back to a traditional restaurant catering position, right? And so we decided we wanted to make a gamble and try starting something a little bit different. Something where we could pay people more than minimum wage.
Tenemos alrededor de 70, creo yo, empleados. Creo que tenemos 3 de acá y los demás son de Latinoamérica. Para muchos es su primer trabajo, su modo de salir adelante. Yo les digo a ellos, aprendan inglés, aprendan esto, usen la computadora. Yo mismo les doy la computadora. Mira, esto se hace así, esto se hace de este modo, porque me gustaría que ellos también crezcan. Todos les digo yo, aquí hay oportunidad para que ustedes crezcan.
We try to give people the ability to continue to grow in their positions and learn more. And hopefully one day they have to leave us to find a better job because we don't have enough jobs at the top for everybody, right?
A lot of times when you're looking to hire someone, you're always like, oh, I want someone with experience. But how can you get experience if you never can get your foot through the door? And so they can serve as the training ground so that way they can get experience. Some of our community members, they have to learn English. And so the work schedule has to be flexible enough to allow them to go to school so that way they can advance.
Si yo no hubiera trabajado tal vez en la cocina, quizás nunca yo tampoco hubiera logrado la legalización, porque aparte ellos me daban oportunidad como de ir a la corte, el mismo abogado llegaba allí a hacerme mis entrevistas. Fue en octubre del año pasado que yo conseguí la ciudadanía. Y fue algo muy bonito porque yo no pensé que lo fuera a lograr, pero yo igual lo intenté. Y lo logré. Pude traer a mi familia, a mis papás, mi hermano menor. Fue algo muy bonito porque yo me lo propuse, pero no pensé que yo lo fuera a lograr.
Puedo voltear atrás y decirle a los maestros que lo que me dijeron es mentira, que sí pude sacar adelante a mi hijo. Y puedo decir que lo logré. Mi hijo ahora es un profesional, gracias a Dios. No solo llegó a la universidad, hizo su maestría que se acaba de graduar. Mi hija tiene 20 años y está en la Universidad de Boston y está estudiando marketing con negocios. No tengo un dinero ahorrado, pero sí tengo que mis hijos han salido adelante. Ese es mi sueño. Y sé que un día mis hijos van a estar sentados quizás en una empresa, quizás en un lugar mejor que yo, no van a venir a vender como yo, pero van a estar mejor.